Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Nitai Gona Haribo, 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 Nitai Gona Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Brahmanande, Hari Hari Bo.
His divine grace is the Iskcon of Swami, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Iskcon founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem Sri host Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Saraswati Gaur Bhakti Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Ashantam Balakum Giri Gaurana ki jai. Shri Vrindavan ki jai. Shri Maya Panardhan ki jai. Ganga Maya ki jai. Yamuna Maya ki jai. Prasya Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakti ki jai. Transcendental distribution ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Gaur Devananda Devi. All glory to Seven Devotees. All glory to Seven Devotees. All glory to Seven Devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Govardhan.
Koi Prashna, eh? Okay. That's how Bhadra. Thus, okay. You have, it's like, Lord Shingada has 8 arms. You can play the mridanga. Shoot arrows at the same time, yeah. AK-47. I'll just touch it here. Thank you. It's more economical. Okay, yeah. Here we go. Okay. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Poro Premamritam Bonadi Krishna Kirtana Ananartana Puro Premamdi Dera Dera Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Dera Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarapo Shri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarapo Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Jiva Gopalako Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Narayanam Namaskrityam Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Now all the brahmacharis and sannyasis should leave the room for the class today. I have been selected. You have been to listen about the story of Kubja, the prostitute. Jai. I don't know how I got this verse. I didn't ask for it. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:48:11. Font size. Yeah. This is okay. Dur aradyam samaradya Vishnung sarveshvareshvaram Yovranite manograhyam Asatvat kumanish yasau Boliye. Durmara samaradya Vishnum sarveshvareshvaram Yobranite manograhyam Asatvat kumarish yasau Radyam samaradyam Vishma sarveshvareshvaram Yove manushvayam Asatvat kumarish yasau Asatvat. Wow. Asatvat. Ladies? Duradyam samarayam Vishnum sarveshvareshvaram Yovranite manograhyam Asatvat kumanish yasau Duradyam samaradyam Vishnum sarveshvareshvaram Yam Sadva kumanish yasau. One more. Don't be shy. Duradyam, rarely worshipped. So this is where the word Radha comes from, right? Radha, it means that she who worships Radha. So dur aradyam, dur means bad or much, aradyam, rarely worshipped. Samaradya, fully worshipped. Vishnum, Lord Vishnu. Sarva, of all. Ishvara, controllers. Ishvaram, the supreme controller. So we have Ishvara Ishvaram, God of gods. Okay, why not? Yaha, who? This is a really common word. We should learn this word. Yaha, Yahweh, who? Okay. And because of the combination of the words, it becomes yo. Yeah. Vrenite chooses a benediction. Manaha, to the mind. Grahyam, that which is accessible, namely sense gratification. Yeah. Asatvat, because of its insignificance. So we have sattva or sat, that which exists, and asatvat, because of its insignificance. Kumanishi, unintelligent, asau, that person. Okay. Let's see it again. I'll read it again here. Duradyam samaradyam vishnum sarveshvareshvaram yovranite manograyam asatva kumanishasau. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Lord of all lords, okay, is ordinarily difficult to approach. One who has properly worshipped him and then chooses the benediction of mundane sense gratification is certainly of poor intelligence. For he is satisfied with an insignificant result. Okay, please repeat. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Lord of our lords, is ordinarily difficult to approach. One who has properly worshipped him and then chooses the benediction of mundane sense gratification is certainly of poor intelligence, for he is satisfied with an insignificant result. Yes, yes. It's like telling a child on his birthday, some child on his birthday, you can say, you can have anything you want. He thinks, oh my goodness, I want a jar this big of M&M chocolates. Okay. That's, you sure you want? Okay. Okay, purport. It is clear, this is Sri Dayananda Maharaj and Gopi Puranadana speaking here. Okay. It is clear from the commentaries of the Acharyas that the story of Trivakra is to be understood on two levels. On the one hand, she is understood to be a liberated soul directly associating with the Lord and participating in his pastimes. On the other hand, her conduct is clearly meant to teach us a lesson about what not to do in relation with the Lord, with Lord Krishna. Since all the Lord's pastimes are not only blissful, but didactic. What does didactic mean? Huh? No. Huh? Instructive. Yeah. He's an English major. He didn't know this. Didactic. And instructive. And it also means like technique of education, I think, too. Didactic. What is your didactic method? How to teach, like that. So Dayananda Maharaj is using big words here. That's good. Not only blissful, but instructive. Okay. There is no real contradiction in this pastimes, since Trivakra's purity and her bad example take place on two distinct levels. Arjuna is considered a pure devotee, yet by initially disobeying Krishna's instruction to fight, he also showed an example of what not to do. However, such bad examples always have happy endings in the blissful association of the absolute truth, Sri Krishna. So this is 10th canto, and of course, amongst all the literature in the world, you know, what do you call it? There's this stories of Buddha's life, some stories about Buddha's life and Buddha's precepts. Okay, very instructive. There's Don Quixote by, what's his name? Miguel Cervantes, which gives all kinds of instruction. Many times considered the best book in the world. You know, difficult to translate. Then, of course, Shakespeare gives so much instruction, so many stories there. Oof, you know, very profound. You know, yeah. What else we got? We got the Bible with the Old Testament and the New Testament and Psalms and Proverbs and all these kind of things. Then you got the Quran by the Prophet Muhammad. May his name be blessed. You know, and there's so much literature in the world giving, you know, good advice about how to live and how to do things. Yeah. And And then you got, what else you got here? Then we have the Vedic literature. We have Hitopadesh. What is Hitopadesh about? Huh?
Their instructions using animals and domestic situations.
Yeah. Upadeshamrita Hitopadesh. It's good advice, and he gives animal stories like that, which is very similar to Aesop's fables. In fact, some of Aesop's fables are the same as Hitopadesh or Panchatantra. Very good advice. And, if you sit to learn these things as a child, and you see that actually they're true. I mean, as you're growing up, you see you should share your toys and don't bite people. Yeah. So Hitopadesh, Upadeshamrita, and then there's Dharma Shastras. How many principal Dharma Shastras are there? Just describe how to proper conduct for people. For your behavior, if you're a king, if you're a warrior, if you're a prince, if you're a young lady, if you're old lady, if you're what else? A bear. What is how many Dharma Shastras? You thought it was going to be all. You thought you just had to sit here, but this guy's asking all these questions. Prabhupada says, I think one time he says 81 prominent Dharma Shastras, but another time less. And Prabhupada, in the purport of Bhishmadev's instructions to Yudhisthira in the first canto, Prabhupada says the Brahmanas should especially know 2 Dharma Shastras. Manu Samhita and? No, Dharma Shastras. Parashara's Dharma Shastra. Parashara's Dharma Shastra. He's a very, very big, powerful personality in the history of the world, Vedic culture. And so he wrote a Dharma Shastra. And I read that from Prabhupada's purport, and I thought, wow, let me try and find that. So we were in Berkeley, so I went right up to the University of California, Berkeley campus. And they have over 1 million books. You know how many books that is? I think you could make a highway. You could cover the entire highway from here to Dallas. With books. A lot of books. Yeah. So I went there, and I just went on Melville, the automatic catalog guy, and put in Parashara's Dharma Shastra, and it came back. A lot of versions they had. But they were all in Devanagari script. They were all in Hindi or things like that and so on, So I was asking the librarian, and finally there was like about 5 librarians, And this was like the thing like, make my day. Wow, finally we got a librarian. And they were just yelling at each other across the room and this and that and researching. And then finally one of them was screaming, I got it! Like, wow, it was like, And it was an old wooden card catalog which hadn't been entered into the database. It was kind of warped a little bit, and she found it. And there was 1 copy in the Bolt Hall Law Library. This is, Prabhupada says the library is the heart of the school, the heart of the educational institution. You got a nice library here. So anyway, I went over there, then I found out it was in the second basement. It wasn't just in the first basement, the second basement. Everything was made of cement walls and metal things. And I finally went down there. There was 1 bookcase of Hindu law. Then I went there and I pulled it out, about this big, Asiatic Society, 1864 or something, 96 even. And just when I did that, in the cement wall there was 1 metal door. The door opened up and this guy came out. I came out of the door, and he locking it up, and he said, "Oh, you like you read Sanskrit?" And I said, "Well, a little bit." He said, "So do I." So it was a bizarre circumstance, Then I was looking at the thing, and it's Manu Samhita is more or less for the last Dwapara Yuga, the last Yuga. It's really strict. If you read the Manu Samhita, it's strict. But that's from Dwapara Yuga. So it says there that the Parashara's Dharma Shastra is more for Kali Yuga, practical. And Prabhupada says the Brahmanas should know this to give advice. And he starts off and he says, maidens are, this is 1896 English, maidens are becoming mothers, rogues are conquering kings, and women are conquering men. This is invariably what happens in the fourth age, the Krita Yuga. Very interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he gives all kinds of advice, and it's very interesting because it's very practical in terms of, okay, we have a whole discussion to this. Is divorce permitted in Vedic culture? Yeah. No. Yeah. But he goes through and he says, if a lady's husband has a big moral fall down, I think it goes that. If he takes sannyas, if he goes to a foreign country and doesn't come back, then first-class dharma for her is to follow her departed Lord in the same fire of sacrifice. So if he died, she goes right after that guy into the fire. Okay. Or if he takes sannyas, she becomes like Vishnu Priya. She was doing one Maha Mantra for every grain of rice. She was just as good as sannyasi and Lord Chaitanya. Oh, I see. Yeah, now they can see my face. Hello? Okay. Yeah, okay. So Vishnu Priya was just as good as sannyasi as Lord Chaitanya, but she did it according to her position. Yeah. Okay, so that's first class. Second class is if the lady enjoys life but doesn't get remarried. She has clothes, parties, friends, all these kind of things, and has an enjoyable life. She only has 16 rounds. She doesn't do one grain of rice, you know. Yeah. Okay, that's still progressive in Kali Yuga. And third class is still progressive in Kali Yuga is after 6 years, of being a widow or being a sannyasi, whatever, husband gone, she gets remarried and stuff, So it's very practical, something that can be applied in Kali Yuga, and many other things too. So we have all this good advice, all this literature is available, but people who've actually read the Vedic literature, we're mentioning Dr. Narsingha Rao. He's from the University of Madras, very big, powerful university, Narsingacharya Rao. And he came to Oxford. They brought him a few times to Oxford to do seminar. For your PhD and everything in Oxford, you do usually seminar. Somebody will come and 5 or 6 students will study with them and then write a PhD paper. Maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 papers you have to do and stuff. It's a very nice system. So anyway, he came there, and Radhika Ramandas, our good disciple, our guru, was part of the whole program. And because he was Indian and everything else, Dr. Narsingha Rao said, "Oh, Ravi, come to my flat where I'm staying. I can't quite figure out how to get the heater going." And he would talk to him and tell him Sanskrit jokes and stuff and so on. So he had a very, very nice relationship. And so Dr. Narsingha Rao said, I've read all the major Sanskrit literatures and most of the minor Sanskrit literatures. And he said, I'm not being proud or anything. I've been doing this for 50 years. And so if I hadn't read them, it would be completely, embarrassing. And he said, when it says that the Puranas, 18 major Puranas, are beautiful, like stars in the sky, right? And a little proud of themselves. We're the Puranas. Yeah. Until the moon of Srimad Bhagavatam comes up. Oh, he's bigger than we are. He said, no, it's not an exaggeration. He said, for the beauty of the poetry, the sophistication of the grammar and the Sanskrit, and the depth of the philosophy, he said, Srimad Bhagavatam is in a class by itself. The Catalogus Catalogorum, which is a bibliography maintained by universities of all, registered Sanskrit, ancient Sanskrit texts, includes over 160,000 ancient Sanskrit texts, law, medicine, so many things. And there, the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think it's 140. Like 140 major commentaries, major commentaries like that, Mayavadi commentaries. Everybody wants to prove that Srimad Bhagavatam supports their ideas, And after that comes the Skanda Purana with like 70. You can see the difference. It's just like, yeah. And most of the Puranas don't have commentaries, any major commentary. When they start off, they talk about somebody, then they talk about gem therapy, then they talk about something else, and you can never figure out what they're trying to talk about. But Srimad Bhagavatam, from the very beginning, it makes it very clear what it's talking about. Ete Chaangsa. Ete Chaangsa Sakalakung Sam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakalam Lokam Mridyanti Yoge Yoge. Krishna gives a big list. Who's a Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami gives a list of incarnations, Purusha avatar, little avatars. Then he says, all of these are portions or portions of the portions, but the original personality of Godhead is Krishna. So it's the Paribhasa Sutra. It's the verse that the whole thing. Then after that is so systematic. You can go through. It takes 108 minutes, 3 times, the whole Bhagavatam, and you can diagram it and everything else, and it's so systematic. Why things are occurring, logically, chronologically, and everything else. It's just so satisfying. So that's the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Now we're here on the 10th canto. First 2 cantos, you're bowing down at Krishna's feet. Forgive me for all the stupid stuff I've done. I'm really sorry, Okay. Then the 3rd and 4th are his thighs. The 5th is his waist. 6th is his chest. 7th and 8th are his arms, his shoulders. 9th is his throat. 10th is his face. 11 is his forehead. And 12? His crown. Yeah. Okay, so it's a gradual progression like that. It's a gradual progression going up. And I think maybe you mentioned also in the Song of Songs in the Bible, the Cantar de Cantares, Song of Solomon. It's the same thing as there. The commentary is a commentary by, what's his name? San Bernardino de Clairvaux. Yeah. Saint Bernard of Clear Valley. That was the guy. He was a fortunate saint because his student became pope, so he had it made. But he has a commentary. He did lectures to the monks, maybe 5, 6 lectures on the Song of Songs, because the Song of Songs starts off with "Kiss me with the kiss of your lips." That's how it starts. Okay, so he says to the monks, okay. He says, you're purified because you studied Proverbs and you study, what's the other one? Ecclesiastes. Therefore, you're free from the passions of the body and the passions of the mind. Honor, prestige, fame. So now we can start talking about this, yeah. So anyway, he says that, there's the kiss of the lips. You can be that intimate with God. You can be that intimate. He said, but before that, there's 2 other kisses. 2 other kisses you got to perfect. The first one is the kiss of the feet, that you can kiss the master's feet. The second one is the kiss of the hand. Yes, sir, I can do that. And he said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still trying to perfect the kiss of the feet. Sambandha. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah. Sambandha abhideya prayojana. So it's there. We mentioned also that Plato talks about the same thing. Apparently the same cult. Plato says the highest worship of God is conjugal. Worshiping in the sense of conjugal love, masculine, feminine. And so, he says in Greece it was Koros and Kore. I think, no, yeah. And when it went to Rome, it became Hova and Hoventa. And you can trace it all the way through Europe into South American literature. The same motifs, the same stories from the Bhagavatam even apparently. Yeah. So anyway, it's there. You look at these things, you start to find them. It's what we're supposed to be doing. Some people are fantastic cooks. Some people are meant to fight. Whatever, warriors. I don't talk much, but when I talk, my pistol speaks for me. That's Clint Eastwood. Okay, so everybody got their job. And so scholastically, literature, books. Then you find all over the world that Srimad Bhagavatam, as you start looking at it objectively, it's just, It's going to class by itself, you know. And the 10th canto is coming to this point of the most confidential aspect of all the Vedas, which is worship of Krishna. You know, Ram is, how's it go? Maryada Purushottama? Ram is Maryada Purushottama, the ideal king or something, you know. And Krishna is Lila Purushottama, final pastimes. Ram only accepted one wife, right? But Krishna accepts everybody. Come on. Yeah. And now we're here in the pastimes of Kubja and Akrura. Okay, Krishna was escondido. I'm thinking in Spanish still. Krishna was covered pastimes, right? His uncle Kamsa wanted to kill him. Why did he want to kill him? Why did Kamsa want to kill Krishna? Huh? Yeah, because the voice from the sky, this rascal voice, probably Narada Muni, you know, said, oh, ha ha, Kamsa, you're such a fool, Kamsa, ha ha ha. You're taking home your sister, and she's her 8th child will kill you. Okay, now is it 8th child or 8th son? Because then it starts becoming confused, which, you know, was it the 8th child or miscarriage, we count that, or was it a son because Durga's a girl? Okay. Anyway, okay, so then somehow or other Krishna escaped, and I guess Kamsa thought that Durga was the 8th child, and Krishna went to Vrindavan, like that stuff, you know. And he was then he could just play and have a good time, like that, and so on, you know. So many friends and everything else, until one day, who came? Akrura. And what does Akrura mean? Not cruel. Like that. So he took Krishna away. And it's all the Hindi movies and everything else, they really get into it, man. It's like you're sitting there crying. And yeah, they had the cartoon when they have even little cows crying and stuff. They're really good. They're really done. Little Krishna? No, Krishna or Kamsa. The second one, Krishna or Kamsa. Then it's a separate clip on the YouTube of Krishna going, and all the gopis are going behind. Of course, the cartoon characters, you can do little gopis really good. You can do them like that. The cows and the calves, and Radha's coming out from behind the tree. And somebody told me that they're singing a song which, I've tried to forget you, but I can't. I've given up trying to forget you. It's a very nice, very sweet song, you know. And it's one of the best female vocalists in India, one lady and stuff, very well composed. And so Krishna's finally disappearing over the hill, and you look up in the clouds, and the clouds are Krishna's face, like that. So it's very, very well done, very good. You know, little Krishna, and then later Krishna or Kamsa, you know. Yeah. So, Krishna, why did Krishna have to go to Mathura? Huh? Yeah, to save his parents, to liberate the Yadus from all their distress. Yada hi dharmasya. But he told everybody, I'll be right back. I'll just take care of this, and I'll kill this evil monster, Kamsa. He was so powerful that all these witches and devils were serving him. They weren't serving him out of love. You know? He was a bigger monster than they were. You know? And he was backed up by Jarasandha, who was practically the most powerful person on earth. You know? So, only Krishna could do it in some ways. So he went there, Akrura took him there, because Kamsa had invited them, because they heard, oh, he's the best, you're the best wrestler in Mathura, in Gokula. So I'm having a nice, festival, a wrestling festival, all my subjects come, everybody come, and let's have some nice fun, and games and everything else. So Akrura went there, and Akrura, knew what the whole purpose was, but he thought that if I go there, serving Kamsa, I'll get a chance to see Krishna. So I'll do this, even though I know it's a simple activity, everything else. He was Maharaj Ugrasena's commander-in-chief, Krishna's grandfather, commander-in-chief. So he was a very high-class person like that. So he got there and he offered prayers, and he was afraid Krishna and Balaram would think he was coming from a bad person, but they understood. And then Then when he told them about Kamsa's plans to kill him in the wrestling arena, they said they both laughed for a long time at how Kamsa set up all these things, and it was funny, So they went there, and then Krishna enters Mathura in a very nice pastimes there, which I guess you've heard all of those, with the washerman, who else? Oh yeah, that's when he meets Trivakra, and she is a hunchback. Yeah, she's bent over like that and everything else. And she makes sandalwood paste, very nice sandalwood paste, which is very nice, for the king. But when she sees Krishna, she thinks that, no, this should be for you. And he asks her, what have you got there? And she thinks this is for you and everything else and so on. And he calls her a beautiful young girl and everything else and so forth and so on. And then what does he do? Huh? He does a little, what's it called? Chiropractic. He puts his feet on her toes, he grabs her ears and gives her a pull. And suddenly she becomes very well shapely, beautiful young girl. And then she is agitated by lusty desires to enjoy with Krishna. Okay? And she starts snatching at his dhoti right in public, And then Krishna's friends are like looking at him, and Krishna is turning red and blushing, and they're all laughing and everything else and so on. But he says, I have to go now, but I'll come to your place and and deal with you. So the Garga Samhita, the Garga Samhita, yeah, Garga Samhita, it's considered, okay, it's a little bit controversial. For the Brajmandal Parikrama with Lokanath Maharaj, they use that for all the pastimes, describing those. And nobody criticizes it for having the wrong Siddhanta or talking about Mayavad philosophy or anything. But some people say it's not a Gaudiya Vaishnava thing. It's not from our tradition. But I don't know his name. Some different Iskcon acharyas and defend it, and they point out that it talks about that Lord Chaitanya will incarnate and stuff and so on. So in there it talks about who all these people were before. How's it go? So Ravana's sister, Suparnaka, I don't know the pronunciation, I'm not sure of. Suparnaka. Okay, Suparnaka. She's a Rakshashi, So she sees Ram in the forest and she wants to enjoy with him. She wants to have sense gratification with him, And then Ram says, I can only take one wife. She says, well, no problem. I'll eat Sita. I'll kill Sita and eat her. Then you can marry me, And she disguises herself as a beautiful woman. So Lakshman cuts off her nose and ears. Okay, And then she goes back and everything else, okay. So she takes birth, according to Garga Samhita, as Kubja. Kubja is her next birth, like that, and so on. And again, she's deformed, And so explains that she has this little desire to associate with Krishna, with Ram, like that, but not from the attitude of service, but from the attitude of enjoyment. Okay, yeah. It's like somebody who takes a vow. She's like somebody who takes a vow to only eat prasadam. Okay, I take a vow, I will only eat prasadam, but Lord, I want good prasadam. Yeah. So it's not a vow to serve prasadam, it's a vow to enjoy prasadam. Yeah. But it's a limiting, it's a very, what's kind of like spiritual, almost. Yeah. So Prabhupada says that devotees who are attracted to Krishna in conjugal humor, conjugal perspective, like that, they're attracted like that, should be very careful about this. Because if they're attracted in the conjugal perspective to enjoy Krishna in a conjugal perspective, then they end up in the category of the Shakti of Kubja. As he says, Krishna associates with this potency sometimes. Shishi Radha Madhava ki jai. Beautiful Shringar ki jai. Cows ki jai. Okay. So Prabhupada says Krishna associates with the Kubja Shakti sometimes. It's like associating with the external energy. He does. we're taking prasadam, we're associating with Krishna, we're enjoying it, but not all the time. But with Radharani, Lakshmis who want to serve him, then he associates with them all the time. So that's one lesson from this story. Yeah. So anyway, she takes birth again, and then Krishna takes care of Kamsa, kills him. In the Krishna or Kamsa movie, he has him on the ground. He says, "This is for the cows, wham! This is for the yadus, wham! This is for my mother who had to disguise that I was alive for so many years, wham!" It's really good. And this is for something, I forget what it is. I think it was the cows or something. He gives him wham! And blah. Very good movie, very nice. Yeah. So he takes care of Kamsa. Since Kamsa, where did Kamsa go? What happened to Kamsa when he died? Huh? Yeah, but when he died, what was his destination after his? Did he go to hell? No. One place it says he merged into the Brahma Jyoti. Another one it says because he was always meditating on Krishna's form. He was meditating. He got Swarup Mukti, always meditating on Krishna's form like that. But he had to have a tough time going there. Okay. So then, now Krishna is going to go around and please his devotees. So this is this chapter. We finally got there. And first he goes and visits Kubja's, whatever you want to call it, place like that. Yeah, Kubja is a courtesan. Yeah. Prabhupada uses the word prostitute freely in the Bhagavatam. When Krishna entered Dwarka, many well-known and beautiful prostitutes with nice earrings came on various vehicles to see him. And whether they were going on skateboards or what, coming out on motorcycles. Anyway, he comes out, and there's a very, very nice purport about prostitution in that there, very describing it very nicely. I mean, we have our idea about how things should be organized for everybody, okay. But I think that, my impression would be, I'm not sure if Prabhupada wanted to use that word with full understanding of how it meant in the Western culture, or he didn't understand exactly, because I've been told that in India it's a different level of usage, a much more strict relationship there. So in the Western culture we would describe her as being a courtesan, which is a polite way of saying a courtesan may associate with like 5 men during her lifetime, like that, okay, and so on. But a prostitute for us is somebody who's in business, a very unfortunate person, maybe 5 times a night she has associates, terrible, So, okay, anyway, I will say she was a courtesan, or prostitute. And Krishna went there, and then it's described there, which, when the Brajmana Parikrama, we go to places in Mathura, where Kamsa was killed, all these places. When we come to Kubja's house on the Brajmana Parikrama, all the brahmacharis and sannyasis stay out. Only grihasthas are allowed to go in and see the deities and that kind of stuff. But anyway, she and her girlfriends received Krishna, bowed down to him, offered all kinds of respect, washed his feet, and then Kubja, in great ecstasy, was bathing and putting on perfumes and came out. And Prabhupada in the Krishna book says that Krishna did not waste time, but grabbed her and sat her down next to him on the couch, as one does in those situations. He did not waste time, And he says there were many, many pictures and ornaments which would inspire the kind of relationships that were going on there. It's there in the Krishna book. So anyway, because again, she was agitated by lust. In the same way, we may be agitated to eat by lust. Okay, so we can satisfy our lusty desires with prasadam. Okay, yeah. And so Kubja was satisfying her lusty desires with Krishna. Many descriptions of this. So this is Krishna, Ramachandra, Varaha. You can't get these kind of relationships with them, the Virat Rup. But Krishna, every kind of relationship, you can connect it to Krishna. Akama, Sarvakama Bha, Moksha Kama, Udaradi, Tivrena, bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. Whether you have all desires, or you're free from all desires, or you want to be free from all desires, in every case you should worship Krishna. You should worship the original male, the original person, Purushottam, with a very determined vow. Yeah, that's it. Don't go anyplace else. Whatever you want, go to Krishna for it. And then he'll purify your desires if you want. Yeah. And you can advance. You can advance as much as you want to, just taking whatever your desires are. Prabhu, I have all these desires. No problem. Krishna is so broad, he can accept everybody's worship. Yeah. I have my Udareta stories. You know Udareta? Udareta? No. He was a paratrooper in Vietnam, like that. Maybe about your size, but like a lizard. He had his muscles, everything else. Yeah. So a paratrooper means that when you're coming down the parachute, the final impact is about the same as jumping off from where Prabhupada's picture stops. Okay, imagine you had to jump off from that height. A little tough, that's what a paratrooper is trained to do, because they're slowing them down, right? I think terminal velocity, if you haven't got a parachute, is about 140 miles an hour. And then you hit, it's just, yeah. But a parachute slows you down until you're just about that height. So that's what they practice doing, right? They practice jumping off. You gotta land, roll, and everything else, and so on. So anyway, he was a paratrooper in Vietnam, all this kind of stuff. And so many times in Germany, in San Francisco, I've told the story many times, I won't tell it again. The problems were the devotees were attacked like this and that, and he was there by Krishna's arrangement, physically attacked with knives, being attacked by bikers in Germany, and he was there, and thank you, Krishna. He jumped off the balcony in Germany, came down, and there were eight bikers there, and he eliminated the first one by landing on him. Got the second one, he had an iron bar, of course, always had something around. Got the first one in the knee. How's it go? First you go for the earlobe, or you go wham. Then you go for the whole solar plexus, and then you go for the knee, wow. Okay, got that guy. Got the guy behind him with a backstroke. And so then all these German the guys were running away on crippled big guys with motorcycle jackets. He went right through the front window of the temple at 2:00 in the morning. So anyway, one of them died. So Hansaduta got him on the first airplane out next morning out of Germany before anything could happen. So when he would Krishna would arrange these situations for him. Like if he came here right now, everybody would go, oh my God, what's going to happen now? It was like, another time you stabbed the Pujari, and Ujjvala was stabbing the Pujari, and Udareta was there and just grabbed him, half his size. You put your arm around the neck, lock it behind your head, and lift the guy on his hip. It presses the carotid arteries, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, pop, drop him, So, but he couldn't control it. He got in fights always with devotees. He would be getting in fights. He asked Prabhupada, is there any way I can control this passion? And he said, Prabhupada showed him how to do push-ups. He said, Prabhupada, you should do this. That will do the push-ups. And he was sitting there, oh my God. Thank you, Prabhupada. And so anyway, then he was killed by an enemy in Golden Gate Park or something like that and so on. So so it was just, Krishna reciprocates with everybody. He gives them, if you approach him, he can, in so many ways. And eventually if he has to kill you, he'll kill you, and take you someplace else. So Krishna is very, very auspicious to worship Krishna. Very nice to worship Krishna. Yeah. And you may understand, okay, that I'm an eternal associate of Ram, like Hanuman. But he understands who Krishna is. But that's where Krishna likes to play Ram Lila forever. It's so much fun that Sita and Ram want to play. Radha and Krishna want to play Sita and Ram forever. They want to dress up, and the cowherd boys with the monkeys, and I guess Sridama, her big brother, becomes Ravana or something. But it's so much fun. So they expand themselves, and if you perspective you can understand, this is really Radha and Krishna, but you're absorbed. So Krishna is showing these pastimes with Kubja, and like it's saying, it says here, the Acharyas are saying that she's an eternal associate of Krishna and coming to play these roles properly. Arjuna plays the role of a confused family man don't want to fight with my cousins, but he does it properly, everything. He has weaknesses of heart during the battle. It's too tough, can't go on. Abhimanyu's dying, And so he shows us. Prabhupada says the battle of Kurukshetra was a very, very difficult bhajan, but Arjuna did it very well, performed it very well. So Kubja, eternal associate, she plays this courtesan and everything else, and then Krishna shows how he'll associate with everybody, but in proper perspective. Uddhava was there. He sat on the floor. Okay. So any questions or comments about this? No. Okay. Yes. No. Yes, sir. Okay.
Not that I know a lot, but in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it describes the gopis' move of pleasing Krishna is that it was an incidental that if they pleased Krishna by how they dressed or what they did or anything like that, then Krishna would be so pleased with them that their pleasure would increase a million times more than his, and it was a botheration. And that wasn't what they came there for, to that enjoyment. And then it uses the example of Daruka, in a fraternal servant, fanning Krishna, and his ecstasy got to where he just clenched up and he dropped the fan. So it's just interesting how Krishna shows that and how the Chaitanya Charitamrita shows that so clearly what the difference is, because as you were saying, Kubja wanted to enjoy and Krishna went there and let her enjoy his association and then left. He didn't do anything else with her.
And then he says, I'll be back again or something, Please stay. No, I can't, So then next, I said, then Krishna goes and visits Akrura, That's a whole different relationship. Akrura is like his uncle, father, and he receives them like that and wants to take care of them. He's feeling like you're my two young boys, and I want to take care of you, and so on. They call him uncle. But of course his situation is very complicated too, because he should have pacified the Brijbasis or something. He went and took Krishna away without properly dealing with the Brijbasis. They were absorbed in this mood of serving Krishna, so he entered into Braj Leela, but he didn't do it completely properly or something. And because of that, he was later forced to part of the conspiracy to steal the Shamtaka jewel and to kill Krishna's father-in-law and everything else. So all these people are very rich, complicated people, and they're not like trying to figure out who's good and who's bad. It's just maybe Kansa is one of the few people who's obviously bad. Is Dhritarashtra bad? No, he's got a lot of justifying circumstances. Ashvatthama, was he bad? He killed Draupadi's babies, or not babies, sons. But there's a lot of justification there. And so it's like we see ourselves. We're like that. We're not just purely bad or lusty or whatever else. We got these complications, and how to find the right medicine, like that and so on. And so the Bhagavatam is full of these stories, and how many years will it take to go through and hear them all, and each one you take it to heart a little bit, become a little bit more intelligence, purified, and the four principles keep your intelligence, free from material stimulation. So Akrura is a very complicated situation, like that. And then Prabhupada called him uncle and accepted him like that, and so on. And of course, he's famous for what of the 9 processes of devotional service, which one does he do? Offering prayers. So when he was going into Goloka, he offers prayers, and when Krishna comes, he offers prayers. Wow, just how long would it take just to have probably a 1 week seminar? I mean, maybe 5 classes to go through the prayers by Akrura and just like look at them, And then of course you want to learn Sanskrit, which is difficult if you're older than 4 years old. Okay, So then Krishna sends him off to find out what's happening in Hastinapur. What's happening in Hastinapur? Why does he send Akrura there to Hastinapur?
Because the Pandavas were going through some
Yeah, he wants to find out what's happening with the Pandavas, because they're his intimate associates, like in his role as Vasudeva, they're like such close friends and everything else and so on. And he wants to find out. Because, Dhritarashtra, Dhrita means to hold on, and Rashtra means the kingdom. So by nature, he wanted to hold on to the kingdom. He had all the qualifications. He was heroic, he was noble, he was austere, he was powerful, he was intelligent. Only one problem. He's blind. He felt so cheated. It's quite understandable, everything. He wanted to be the king. Well, if I can't do it, then my sons will do it. So he was very complicated process. And he was fighting with his own desires so many times. So, but then Kunti came back from the exile, from the renunciation in the forest, and she showed up with 5 kids who were older than Dhritarashtra's kids, and therefore were the natural heirs, or rightful heirs of the Kuru dynasty. Oh, hello, Kunti. What nice children you have. Hello. Yeah, and she knew that Dhritarashtra and everybody else were putting on this whole show of protecting them and being kind. Why couldn't Dhritarashtra have just killed them? Because Pandu, their father, right, when he was a young man, he took over as the emperor. But you don't get that position without showing your strength. So he went out there and challenged all the different kingdoms, and many of them said, yeah, we accept you on the world. But some of them, they had to fight, and these were tough people, It's like when Biden became president, if he had to go out and fight with all the nations in the world. So Pandu had a lot of guys his age, who were his friends. They were out there fighting with him and everything else and so on. So now that Pandu is gone, all of the Pandavas' uncles were there all over the place, And so if Dhritarashtra tried to just eliminate them, there would be you don't eliminate our friends. We were in Vietnam together, And so they had to try and do it, publishes a peaceful annihilation, a program of peaceful annihilation by poisoning them or different things like that, So he sent Akrura to go and check out what's happening and how it's going on. Is Dhritarashtra manageable? Can we talk to him and get him to keep him protective from his desires and so on? So finally, after seeing everybody, Akrura went there. He talked to Kunti. He talked to everybody. Then he sat with Dhritarashtra. Now he can talk man to Dhritarashtra because he's Ugrasena's commander-in-chief. So he's practically speaking on the same level as Dhritarashtra. And he said, somehow or other you're sitting on the throne. You don't really deserve it, but somehow or other you're there. You're the king, you're the emperor, like that. And so unless you deal with your sons and the sons of your brother fairly, there's going to be a war, there's going to be a conflict, And Dhritarashtra said, it's very nice, he said, I know, thank you for your free advice, Akrura. And I know what you're saying is true. Don't think I'm an idiot, I know what you're saying is true. I know that when there's a disturbance in Dharma, it takes a human form and it walks the earth, right? I know this. Whenever there's some problem with Dharma, it takes a human form and it walks the earth. And I know that the divine son of Devaki is that Dharma come in a human form. And I know that my sons have this incredible tendency towards adharma, He said, but I just cannot give up my attachment. I can see what's going to happen, but I can't give up my attachment. Anybody here have the same problem? Like that. One more rasagula. I shouldn't take it, but okay. So I guess I want to stop here. Shishi Radha Nila Madhava ki jai. Vaishnava Dharma ki jai. Krishna, merciful Krishna ki jai. Now we can all go and enjoy Mahaprasadam.
All glories. All glories, all glories to His
to
Holiness
Vishal,
Hanumat
Vishal
Swami
Das ki
Maharaj,
jai.
who is known as HP,
Vishal Das ki jai.
humble person,
Hare Krishna,
honest person,
Hare Krishna,
humorous person,
Krishna Krishna,
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Hare.
And all glories to His Grace, Vijay Prabhu, the
Jai.
Iskcon
Yeah.
Minister of Book Distribution.
We have to
Hari Hari Bol.
pay him $25 a week to do this. For me, he wanted 50. Oh, okay. My God. Still alive. Wow. You sure? I think that's the microphone. Color coded.
Yeah. Orange for brahmacharis.
Yeah.
For inspiring.
White one and orange one. Wow. Wow. Tough. How did I get that verse? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo. Lord Srinivas. Oh. My God. Wow. Wow. Limited.
So what is your agenda,
Relate.
Maharaj?
Huh?
What is your agenda?
My agenda. My agenda
I
is
think
chant more rounds.
tomorrow you have a Hawaii class.
No, I don't. I think I think I did. I told him I couldn't do it. I was smart enough to figure out. No, because I'm seeing. I can't. You know,
Too much.
today is the copy dwaja.
Yeah.
Our magazine. Today's Purnima. Today's Purnima. Bad day for driving or something. So I did a copy dwaja, which takes about an hour and a half to do it. Because I go through the whole calendar. I go through who's been initiated. I update everything. Guru Thakur calendar, all the program.
I know.
You're it's trailing.
How was your luncheon meeting yesterday? Was good?
No, I'm meeting with Rao. What's his name? Rao. No, Alejandro Chilhan. Was very good. The Palestinian Israeli lady came. The Bhakti was there, and then Sarva was there. Nanda Braja was serving. Who else? Radha Krishna came. So it was very nice because I was able to relax, and they were all talking. And the boy was studying economics at Rice University. It was very good. Enough people that he had like a lot of interaction. And I asked him my question: is there anybody? Because he's not really a Jungian; he's a Tibetan. So he gave us names.